Turning to book 5 now, we see Odysseus. We get to meet him, and we get to meet him exhibiting his hero-ness, not right off the bat in book 5, but surely by the middle of book 5 and forward. Now, given all the characterizations I've given of Telemachus up till now as someone who sits around, feels sorry for himself, doesn't take action, as being not heroic, well, when we meet Odysseus, he's pretty much matching that description as well, isn't he? He's just been sitting on the beach, and he's got Calypso, who's keeping him captive. This nymph goddess has him in her clutches. She won't let him go. He feels sorry for himself and cries on the beach. There's not much he can really do. That situation that he's in of powerlessness, though, is soon going to change. And if you're sitting back wondering, why does Odysseus spend quite so long on that island? Why doesn't he break free and get out of there? And if you, then the other side of you starts to say to yourself, well, it doesn't seem to be so bad. He's on an island with this beautiful nymph. She has desires for him, and he seems to be in a kind of bower of bliss. Of course he's not leaving. If you start down that path, well, lots of people have started down that path in the past too. The ancients themselves, when they read this epic, were wondering, why did Odysseus spend so much time with that goddess? But in any case, he's there and he's stuck, and there's no way for him to get off. That's quite clear. He's not about to be able to break free of a goddess, and his being trapped, though, at the beginning of the epic is about to be changed. Book 5, you'll recall, begins or leads us into a new set of what we're going to be examining in the epic. We change course. 1 through 4, we've got Telemachus. In 5 through 8, we're going to start learning about Odysseus and a parallel kind of journey that he's going to make to a place where he can learn and get himself rebuilt. But for him, it's going to be a slightly different kind of a story. To mark this transition, we have as we did at the beginning of book 1, we've got an audience with Zeus. We go back up to the very top of the universe. We have our audience with Zeus. There's a strong marker of transition there. And when the message is given to Hermes, go down and tell Calypso it's time to free Odysseus, when the message is given to Calypso, Hermes laces it with an interesting thing that we shouldn't just let pass. He basically says, don't cross Zeus. If you don't do what Zeus says, he's going to make your life a living hell. It means Zeus is going to crush you physically. Zeus's power in the universe comes from violence, and people are frightened of him. This is the kind of the starkness of the Homeric world from the top down that's built in to the power structures all the way up. It's also the kind of thing that we're seeing exhibited as the great elders of the larger aristocratic society are telling Telemachus, it's time to get violent on those suitors. They're all expecting that that's the next step. Well, Zeus shows us that kind of thing happens in the wider scale of the universe as well. So Hermes comes down, delivers the message to Calypso, it's time to let him go. Calypso relents. This goddess, whose name Calypso comes from a verb meaning to hide, Odysseus kind of disappears, is withdrawn from life and from the wider Greek world for those 7 years. He is pulled back and pulled out. At that time, when Calypso gets the message, she lets him go. And when she does, all she has to do is give him some tools. With tools, Odysseus can fix anything. He gets his axe, chops down the trees in a beautiful, elegant set of motions that's extremely efficient. He strips them, planes them, gets them perfectly true, binds them together, erects a mast, puts together all the different kinds of tackle that are required to make his sailing vessel sound. And he's got, within no time, a few days, he's got a perfect ship ready to go. And once he gets started on that craft of building, he can't be stopped. Odysseus is a great builder. This use of hands and the introduction of Odysseus in this scene of the raft building shows his hero-ness fully on display. Heroes are just good at things. They have skills to get things done. They're good, yes, in a kind of abstract, moralistic way, but they're really effective. They're efficient. They get stuff done. They get action. They take action and can get it done cleanly and efficiently. So Odysseus is now gaining back some of what it is he's lost over these last 7 years, being disappeared under Calypso. He now is getting his craft back. His wits are kind of coming back to him, and he's able to make his raft. Pages 159 and 60 of our translation. This sailboat then Odysseus jumps onto, and he's able to sail it as a master sailor. He's not only good at building a raft, he's good at sailing a craft also. And now notice it becomes in his hands a perfectly seaworthy vessel. It's just a very primitive raft that he made out of whatever was around him all by himself for a few days. But still, he's able to make it into a strongly seaworthy vessel. But of course, Poseidon shows up right there. We're going to learn lots about Poseidon. Why is it that he's so angry with Odysseus? We're going to learn. So Poseidon crushes him as he's trying to make his way. Odysseus at that point then tries to find where he can to land after he's journeyed for some time, tries to find out where it is he can land. He's looking for a spot now to get into his safe harbor. Now, if you're a sailor, you will know that seeing a shoreline, if you're in a bad situation, bad weather, seeing a shoreline is not necessarily your friend. If it is a gentle shoreline, or if it has an inlet or a port, that's perfectly good. You can get in and get out of the storm. But if there's a shoreline that doesn't have a nice place for you to land, a shoreline means certain death. And Odysseus is facing that kind of a thing as he's being tossed by the waves and trying to calculate his way into the shoreline that's nearby him after Poseidon crushes his raft. Now he's able to sense when he gets nearby the current of a river that's flowing out from the mainland. This is for him a sign that yes, there's safety there. He can sense in his body the river nymph. It's as if there's a kind of second nature to him to know where safety is going to come. So he finds his way in, and where there's a river, there must be a way for him to swim in to get away from the violent crashing of the waves of the sea against the shoreline, get into the river, get inland, and at that point he can then crawl out without problem. So when he's gets to into that inlet, gets out of the river, washes up on shore, Odysseus now emerges literally naked from the roiling sea and just plops on the shoreline. And there's not much life left in him at all. In fact, all that he really has is the ticking of his heart, the only thing that's left operative. He, on page 167, though, still has enough of his brain power to start a calculation. He wonders to himself whether it will be wise for him to stay nearby the river overnight, and if he does that, he runs into a danger. He realizes, he calculates. That danger is that he could be exposed, because he remembers that a wind blows cold from a river toward dawn. So though it may seem okay now, by dawn there'll be a cold air blowing across him, and he could expire from exposure. So he decides, maybe I should go up inland more. But then if he moves inland, he's going to make himself vulnerable to becoming prey for animals that will hunt him and eat him. So he's stuck in a situation where he has to choose between dying of exposure, staying on the shoreline, or dying of being eaten by going into the shelter of the woods. So what he does is choose a middle course. He set out for the woods not far from the water, and he winds up getting himself into a situation where he can make a rudimentary shelter for himself. And here we see again Odysseus's craftsman-like self coming back in spades and really showing itself. Odysseus goes on, and we've got our olive bush here to help illustrate what he winds up seeing. He found a grove with a clearing all around and crawled beneath two bushy olive springs from the same root, one olive wild, the other well-bred stock. No sodden gusty winds could ever pierce them, nor could the sun's sharp rays invade their depths, nor could a downpour drench them through and through. So dense they grew together, tangling side by side. Now Odysseus, using his craft, starts to gather up what he finds. In fact, he finds leaves. He finds lots of leaves. an abundance of leaves, and his reaction is to feel overjoyed at the abundance of leaves. He thinks there's extra leaves. Hey, great, I've got so many leaves that would be shelter for lots of guys, and yet I've got all these leaves to myself. He looks forward to what he's able to make out of the situation around him. He anchors on to the positive things. He focuses on what he's capable of. He doesn't sit back and feel sorry for himself. Oh, I've got to sleep in dead leaves all night. Instead, he thinks, oh, well, this is great. I've got this wonderful abundance of leaves. It's kind of poignant when you think about poor Odysseus. And then he's stuck at the very end of Book 5. The leaves are all around him. He's crafted himself this special kind of bed out of olive leaves that's going to, we hope, keep him alive enough for the evening when Homer closes with really a wonderfully poignant simile about the situation our hero finds himself in. As a man will bury his glowing brand in black ashes off on a lonely farmstead, no neighbors near to keep a spark alive. No need to kindle fire from somewhere else. So great Odysseus buried himself in leaves, and Athena showered sleep upon his eyes. Sleep in a swift wave, delivering him from all his pains and labors. Blessed sleep that sealed his eyes at last. So Odysseus gets his rest at the end of Book 5 after a long book of struggle, after a long book of getting him away from Calypso, having him escape the dangers that he finds at the sea, getting himself inland, escaping the danger of crashing against the shore, escaping the danger of dying of exposure, escaping, we hope, the danger of dying of exposure, escaping, we hope, the danger of getting eaten by a wild animal, buried like a firebrand, a glowing piece of metal underneath ashes, as if he himself is now being buried, ashes being associated with a funerary rite, as if he himself is getting buried, and now all that he hopes is that he can last till the morning. We'll find out at the beginning of Book 6 if he makes it. We'll talk about that in the next lecture.